The first time you heard Tony's name, it was never in peace. Women in the neighborhood whispered it with anger, sometimes with shame, and sometimes with longing. Men spoke it with disgust, shaking their heads. And yet, every weekend, when he walked down the street in his polished shoes and crisp shirts, the same women who cursed him secretly admired him. Tony was trouble wrapped in charm, a storm disguised as sunshine. He was a womanizer, and everyone knew it. But like most stories that end in tears, it didn't start that way. Tony was born into a poor family in Benin City. His father was a mechanic, his mother a trader who sold akara by the roadside. As a boy, Tony was handsome, so handsome that even elderly women teased him. This one will give his parents wahala, they said, smiling as his mother laughed it off. He grew up struggling, but he was smart. In school, he was always the boy who had answers, and teachers loved him. But his true power was not his brain, it was his mouth. Tony could talk his way out of anything. If he failed an exam, he charmed his teacher into believing he deserved another chance. If he lacked transport fare, he sweet-talked his classmates into giving him a ride. As a teenager, he discovered the effect his looks and words had on girls. He didn't plan it. It just happened. One day he complimented a girl's hair, and she blushed so hard she gave him her lunch. Another day he winked at a neighbor's daughter, and by evening she sneaked out to see him. It felt easy, natural, like a game. But games have consequences. By the time Tony got into university, his reputation had started to spread. Girls loved him. He was tall, dark-skinned, with sharp cheekbones and an easy smile that could melt even the strictest woman's heart. He always smelled nice, dressed neatly even when broke, and spoke with confidence. Boys, however, hated him. Not because he hurt them directly, but because he made them feel invisible. You could be dating a girl for 6 months, and all it would take was one conversation with Tony for her to drift away. At first, he enjoyed it. He told himself he wasn't forcing anyone. Girls came to him willingly. But slowly it became a sickness, an addiction. He couldn't stay with one girl. He always wanted the next one and the next and the next. There was Chioma, the innocent fresher who had never dated anyone before. Tony met her during orientation and promised to guide her through university life. Within weeks, she was cooking for him, washing his clothes, and sneaking into his hostel at night. When she found out he was seeing another girl, she cried and begged him to change. He laughed and said, "You're too emotional. Relax, baby. You're still my number one." There was Funke, the daughter of a wealthy politician. She was bold, rich, and spoiled. Tony didn't even like her at first, but when she saw the car she drove and the money she flaunted, he changed his mind. He became her boyfriend, enjoying the gifts she showered on him. He wore the shoes she bought, used the iPhone she gave him, and spent the money she transferred. But still, at night, he texted Chioma. And then there was Amina, the Muslim girl from Kano who broke her family's rules just to be with him. She loved him so deeply, she risked her father's wrath. When he called, she would sneak out of her hostel to meet him under the trees. She once told him, tears in her eyes, "If my father finds out about you, he would disown me, but I don't care. I can't stop loving you." Tony kissed her and whispered, "I'll never leave you." The same words he told Chioma, the same words he told Funke. By his second year, Tony's name was everywhere. "That boy is dangerous," mothers warned their daughters. "Stay away from him." But the warnings only made him more attractive. Girls thought they could be the one to change him. They thought he would settle with them. And Tony believed he was untouchable. He boasted to his friends, "Women are easy. Just know what to say, look sharp, and act confident. They will fall like mangoes from a tree." His friends laughed, some envied him, some cursed him. But Tony didn't care. For him, life was a stage, and women were his audience. But then came Joy. Joy was not like the others. She was quiet, reserved, and deeply religious. She came from a poor background, worked part-time to pay her fees, and carried herself with dignity. When Tony first approached her, she refused to give him her number. He smiled. Are you forming hard to get? She looked him straight in the eye. I know who you are. You're Tony, the womanizer. Stay away from me. For the first time, Tony felt challenged. He couldn't stop thinking about her. She became his obsession, not because he loved her, but because she didn't fall for his charm. He tried everything, flowers, gifts, compliments, but she never budged. Finally, he changed strategy. He started attending her church fellowship, sitting quietly in the back, pretending to be interested. He told her he wanted to change, that he was tired of his old life, that he wanted to be a better man. Slowly, she softened. Against her better judgment, she began to trust him. She told him about her dreams, her struggles, her fears. He listened patiently, something he never did with other girls. He even stopped flirting with others for a while just to convince her. And then, one night, she gave him her heart. For a while, Tony felt something he had never felt before. With Joy, he felt peace. He started to wonder if maybe this was love. Maybe he could finally settle down. Maybe he could be faithful. But old habits they had. It began with a message from Funke. I miss you. Let's meet. He ignored it at first, but temptation gnawed at him. Then Chioma showed up at his hostel in tears, begging him to take her back. He told her he had moved on, but later that night, he called her. Joy noticed the changes. She noticed the late-night calls, the hidden chats, the excuses. She prayed, cried, begged him to be honest, but Tony lied to her face. One day, she caught him at a restaurant, holding hands with another girl. Her heart shattered. She walked up to him, tears streaming down her cheeks, and whispered, I gave you everything. I thought you were different. Tony looked at her, guilt flickering in his eyes for the first time, but pride wouldn't let him admit it. He laughed and said, Joy, you are too dramatic. She's just a friend. That was the last time Joy spoke to him. After Joy left, Tony's life spiraled. The girls he once toyed with began to fight back. Chioma exposed him online, posting screenshots of his sweet lies. Funke's father found out about him and sent boys to beat him up. Amina's family discovered the affair, and he barely escaped when her brother came after him with a knife. His reputation, once charming, turned sour. People stopped admiring him and started mocking him. Girls who once rushed to him now crossed the street when they saw him. His friends abandoned him, calling him a disgrace. Even Joy, the only one who truly loved him, refused to look at him again. Tony sat alone in his hostel one night, staring at his reflection in the mirror. For the first time, he saw himself not as the confident charmer, but as a broken man who had destroyed everything. His face looked tired, his eyes empty. He whispered to himself, what have I done? Was it worth it? The story of Tony the Womanizer spread beyond his campus. Parents used his name as a warning, don't end up like Tony. Pastors preached about him as an example of wasted potential. And Tony himself lived with regret, haunted by the faces of the women he hurt. The lesson was clear. Charm can open doors, but lies will close them. Love is not a game, and no matter how smooth your tongue is, a life built on deceit will always collapse. Tony learned it too late, but his story lived on as a cautionary tale.